Let's talk about four archetypes that we as men have access to. And these archetypes might be considered to be different modes of being that we can have, different voices in our heads. Some people talk about an inner council where there are four seats in that council and you can occupy each of those seats with a particular focus or a particular energy. The energies that we're going to talk about are the energy of the king, the energy of the warrior, the lover, and the sage. I'm going to describe each of those in a bit more detail. I'm inviting you to listen to my descriptions and see which of those seem to be most easily accessed in you, whether you have too much or too little of that energy. And I'll give you some notes about that as we go through the video. Okay, let's dive in. So let's talk about the king archetype. And the word gives us all the clues that we need. King and kingdom. Think about king and kingdom. You are the king in your own kingdom. The kingdom is the area of your life in which you have taken responsibility, willingly taken on responsibility. And so the king energy is all about having a clear vision and a long-term direction for that which you're responsible for. It's about having clear boundaries, and it's creating a sense within those boundaries that life can flourish. So the king we often think is all about control, but it's actually about creating the circumstances for flourishing. So in your home, in your life, maybe in your business, whatever is your domain, are you creating the circumstances for flourishing? Kingly energy lives in us as a calmness, a clarity, a composure, and self-assurance, a kind of inner confidence. And that's what allows us as king to take charge, take responsibility, exercise our authority with generosity and regard for all of the people involved. When we've got too much king energy, well, that's when we slide towards being tyrannical. That's where we're controlling, overbearing. We're using that popular misconception of king energy as the decider, the doer, the person who insists on things happening in his way. That's with too much king energy. With too little, we're not stepping up into our responsibility. We're shying away from our responsibilities, abdicating them. We're weak and perhaps without vision. And so we want to avoid having too much. We want to avoid having too little. We want to be able to recognize where our kingdom is, and then to create this, I love this phrase, to create the circumstances for everybody within the kingdom to flourish. Then you're in your kingly energy. Warrior energy is perhaps the energy most associated with men when we know a little about these archetypes. And warrior energy also suffers from a misconception that it's all about being able to fight, being able to combat, being able to win and triumph. In fact, the true energy of the warrior is to turn intention into action. It's about turning an idea into a result. It's about getting things done. And so it requires from us to be effective warriors. We need to have clear view. We need to have the discipline to follow through. We need to be able to endure discomfort in order to get to a result that we know is right. And we want to have a composure that allows us to take clear decisions when there are alternatives or when there are circumstances which are changing. So we want to be in a place that is poised and ready to take and deliver decisive action. That's the warrior energy. When we've got too much warrior energy, it overflows as aggression, it overflows into conflict and unnecessarily seeking out points of conflict, dominating, and it's an unpleasant energy to be around. When we have insufficient warrior energy, well, then we're shying away from the situations where we need to take action. We're hiding, we're perhaps pulling ourselves away from the world and withdrawing. And that's also ineffective. What we want is a strong, healthy amount of warrior energy, which will allow us to move through difficulty and get done what needs to get done. Purposeful action. Let's talk about lover energy, which is where we develop connection and feeling and presence from. So the lover, yes, it's about being loved, but let's not think of it purely in the sense of sexual lovers or a particular relationship like that, it's being able to see and appreciate beauty, to enjoy pleasure. From it, we develop healthy connection with other people, not necessarily romantically, just healthy adult connection with other people, and healthy connection with ourselves. So it's a seat of our emotional awareness and our self-understanding. And so lover energy is really important. It's that which keeps us acting from our depth and connecting cleanly with other people. And as with all of these archetypes, we can have too much or too little. Too much, we collapse into an addiction to pleasure, and we become perhaps literally addicted to something. We are seeking out what's pleasurable and good for us at the expense of maintaining balance and order in our lives. And if we don't have enough lover energy, then we're a little bit numb to the world. It's as if we're acting from head upwards. There's no heart, there's no connection. And so we've probably zoned out and we're stuck in a very rational and logical world. Lover energy is quite difficult to develop if we are listening to the loud stories that the culture brings about men not displaying their feelings or not allowing their emotions to color their judgment. And those are, in my belief, false messages that we hear in the culture and keep us from really engaging in this softer part of our makeup as men, but the important place in which we do connect with ourselves and with others and with pleasure. The energy of the sage is where we find our inner witness, our truth teller, our access to wisdom. When we're acting from sage energy, we're able to take a step back from a situation and get perspective. We're able to pause long enough to see clearly what to do next. So sage energy helps us to discern, it helps us to evaluate, it keeps us in touch with our integrity so that we can assess whether things are in alignment with our own values or not. And sage energy helps us to bring wisdom and insight and perhaps a different perspective to the situation. And so it's not hurried, it's a more measured, reflective consideration for events that, and we can then bring forward the right possibilities from there. Sage energy will keep us honest. And again, too much of this energy is a bad thing. So too much of it, and we've retreated somewhat into our own thinking, and we're perhaps spending a lot of time reflecting and looking and evaluating, but get stuck in that mode rather than using that in service of the purposeful action that we might choose to take. And if we don't have enough sage energy, then we're probably not able to grasp an idea clearly, and we might flip-flop between different ideas and be indecisive and unclear. And so again, we're looking for that healthy amount of sage energy to use when we need it. There are 4 archetypes. The king, who helps us to see the situation in the kingdom and set direction. The warrior, who turns intention into action. The lover, who is able to help us connect, weave a set of connections with other people and with ourselves. And the sage, who keeps us honest and brings wise perspective. We've talked a little bit about how each of those operate, and I'm just reiterating that our challenge is to find the healthy, balanced expression of each of those energies. And there might be times when you decide, oh, this it will be helpful for me to, in this situation, to access this archetype. The kids are squabbling, the food's burning in the oven, your partner's upset because you're late home from work, and all of that's going on. Might be time to access some kingly energy. Your responsibility to the kingdom is to create the circumstances for flourishing, to respect everybody there, see what's to do. You might have to look at your own behavior in this. You might need to lay down some boundaries, who knows? But we recognize we need kingly energy. Stalled and indecisive, let's access some warrior energy. How are we going to see what's needed, have the courage or the endurance to overcome what needs to happen to have that purposeful action create a result? There'll be a situation where you're out of connection with other people, maybe with your partner, maybe with your kids, workmates. It's time to find some lover energy, to think about what it's going to be engaged with, interested in, and developing connection with other people. And there'll be plenty of opportunity when you need sage energy to take a step back from what's got you involved, slow things down, take some perspective, think calmly before moving on. There's room for the expression of each of these energies. I wish you luck in finding them in yourself, seeing where they are, and bringing them into healthy balance, each with the other. Good luck.